Okay, so my name is Abraham or Avrahami. I'm a PhD candidate at Ben Gurion University in Israel for data science. I research things that are related to computational social science and natural language processing and so on. Today I'm going to talk about the internet's best experiment yet, which short disclaimer, it's not my title. So the title was given by Newsweek on April 2017. It was given to the experiment that we're going to talk about. And the experiment itself is a major part of my PhD dissertation, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes. And I do think that it's indeed the best experiment that has been done over the web. And I must say that after 2017, there were a couple of interesting things that happened afterwards, and we'll talk about it towards the end of the lecture. So I see that 7 of you um, are not aware to Wall Street Bets community, and the other ones are aware. So let's talk for a minute about Wall Street Bets. So Wall Street Bets is a community or a subreddit on Reddit, and it was, just a regular community on Reddit dealing with trading and financial stuff and so on. But on January 2021, they became really famous and big shock to all over the world after they did a short squeeze on a specific stock on GameStop stock. And the reason they did so is to try and cause a lot of damage or a lot of loss of money to the big giants in Wall Street. And they did it quite successfully. And since then, they became really famous, and a lot of people joined the community and so on. But this is only an example of the power of communities over the web. So online communities are really interesting, powerful, and so on. So on one hand, online communities are really complex. They consist of many users. They have a lot of ways to communicate, pictures, videos, text, gestures, and so on. They maintain complex relations between the users themselves and also between other communities. And they also evolve over time. They might change within days and so on. So it's quite hard to analyze and understand the dynamics within a community and between communities. But on the other hand, they are really fascinating because they are so powerful, as the example I showed earlier, and they serve as a microcosmos of our real life communication. And again, they can fight, they can coordinate, engage, and so on. They have really a lot of power these days once online communities become so big and huge and powerful. Okay, the second question I'm going to send you is about our place. And if you can just take a look at the question itself, the poll, I'm asking whether you know or not our place. So I see that, again, approximately half of you know, and the other ones not. Or maybe most of you don't know, which is good, because I'll try to give you some motivation about this specific experiment, which was really fascinating. Before that, one slide about Reddit. So those who don't know Reddit, so Reddit is a social platform for people to discuss topics. It's one of the most popular website worldwide with millions of users. And it is built in a way that communities can act, can communicate, and so on. So each community has its own ecosystem, and you can contact with other members on the community. For example, there is a community for football and soccer, and for pizza stuff, and for Wall Street Bet. So each person or group of people that want to discuss some topic, they can generate a new community, and this is the way Reddit is built. Of course, each community or subreddit has its own moderators, and they apply the rules and guide people how to behave and act and talk and so on. So this is an example. Yeah, I took this week from RPython, which is the community in Reddit for Python, and there was an announcement about our global PyData Global, our conference, and people again can share this post. They can comment. You can see here the comment. So there are a lot of engagement uh, ways to talk with others. Okay, Reddit our place. So on April 1st, 2017, Reddit announced a new subreddit, which was published to the community, to the whole community. And there was a description on the subreddit, which is as follows. There is an empty canvas. You may place a tile upon it, but you must wait to place another. Individually, you can create something, but together you can create something more. And the most important part is that you must wait to place another. So the point was as follows. There was an empty canvas of 1,000 by 1,000 pixels, and there were no rules, no guideline. No one's told you what to do. The only thing as a user that you can do is to take a virtual color and place it on the canvas. The catch was that once you place a color, you are blocked for 5 to 20 minutes, meaning that you cannot really control the whole canvas, but once you get other people that think like you or you engage with other people, you can do something interesting. After 3 days, the experiment was ended by the Reddit developers. So this was after 1 hour of the experiment, you can see the canvas, 1,000 by 1,000. You can see a few colors here and there. You can see the highlight areas in the middle and also here and also here. And what happened a long time, so let's try if we can see it. I hope you can see my screen. And this is a fast forward video of what happened on the canvas. Okay, so you can see a lot of colors, a lot of flags here, here and there. You can see the blue is expanding towards the center of the canvas. And you can see in the middle, white and black efforts trying to, expanding to other places. Here you can see really interesting thing that happened between Germany and France. So again, back to history and wars. So Germany is conquering France in a second. France is going up, and then the European Union is coming to make peace and so on. It's here. You can see the Mona Lisa here and also here on the top. And a lot of wars, engagements between communities, a lot of pictures, and really historic event, and hence it was announced as the best experiment, the internet best experiment yet. So this is the final picture of the canvas, which is quite amazing. Because if I would have asked you what do you think would happen on such a canvas when you allow multiple users to do whatever they want, I guess most of you would say a whole chaos, or non-interesting things, or non-polite things, and so on. But actually, it was quite nice, and I'm researching this phenomena of our place through my PhD. So two examples of things that happen on the canvas. One is the Osho. Osho is a game, is a computer game. So the community tried to place its artwork on the canvas, and you can see here that someone is trying to avoid them. So this is called the black void. The black void tried to, erase a lot of pictures, and they became really a war with Osho. Another interesting area is here. You can see a few flags. So you can see the New York Rangers, which was vanished throughout the experiment. On top of them came a flag, and then the flag also erased. So there are a lot of wars and between communities. Other things that we saw on the experiment is that there is a lot of coordination. So how do people communicate and so on? So here it's an example of Digbot. which appeared on the canvas at the early time of the experiment, but later on it was vanished. So you can see that actually really pixeling the pixels and asking people to help them. Here you can see the Peppa Frog asking people explicitly to mark their color in a specific place. Here you can see a coordination between countries. So this is the Flag Alliance. And this is a nice example, yeah, between coordination between countries, which did something together. You can see here the heart, and there are a lot of hearts between countries, which came to a peace treaty between them and could work together within the borders they defined. Okay, in terms of data, and this is the important part for this conference. So what was released by Reddit after the experiment is the actual annotations of people of the tiles throughout the experiment. So you could see the color, the timestamp, and the place where the pixel was allocated. A second data source which we have used is the Atlas project. And the Atlas project is probably the most important resource that we have used in this effort. This is the Atlas, okay? So the Atlas is an effort that was done by a few Redditors after the experiment ended. And they asked people from Reddit to mark the place where their community acted. So people could enter this website and say, you know, in this place, the Mona Lisian community played and acted. Here, India, so the people from India mark this place and say, here we acted and marked our flag. So this is the second source that we had. In addition, we had partial information about the actual users that participated in the experiment, but we didn't make use of this data at all in our research. Additionally, what we added to our data sources is the communities that participated in the experiment, which we call it S+, and a sample of communities that did not participate in the experiment. So approximately in Reddit, there are millions of communities. In this specific experiment, approximately 1,200 communities participated, and approximately 700 of the communities could place their artwork on the canvas at the final stage. I'll skip this one. This is a bit of information about what we had. In addition, so first experiment that we did is to try and understand which communities are going to participate in the experiment. This is the first question that we asked. The second question was about the success level of communities. So let's take a simple community, I don't know, India, as we saw earlier. So we try to understand what's the success level of our India in terms of how many pixels they placed on the canvas, what's the community size. So for example, if our India is a huge community and they placed a really little artwork on the canvas, their success is not that high. On the other hand, if it's a tiny community which placed even 10 pixels, their success level is much higher. So we took into consideration also the community size. The complexity that we calculated is in terms of the entropy of the artwork. So for example, take the black void. The black void was an effort of few Redditors that tried to erase pictures. So the only thing that they had to do is to ask their participants to, mark as much as possible red, black pixels on the canvas. It's not that complicated. On the other hand, there were communities that tried to place really complex pictures on the canvas, like, I don't know, the Mona Lisa, or complex flags and so on. So we also consider the complexity of the artwork that was tried to be done by the community, and also the location. So the location means how popular was the area that the drawing was, the community that acted on the canvas, whether it was very popular area or not. So all this data, we have it per community. So this is the data that we release, and I'll show in a second how data looks like. But generally speaking, so we have each row is a community, and we have the columns, which mean whether they survive or not, how many pixels they place, what is the complexity of the artwork that they try to allocate, how popular was the area that they acted in, and so on. Here you can see some correlation between the community size and the number of pixels. You can see that in general, yeah, big communities could place many pixels, but you can also see, for example, there is the community of Germany. So they have quite a large community size, but on the other hand, they had maybe the largest artwork on the canvas. On the other hand, the Donald, which is a community of Trump supporters, they are a huge community, but their artwork is not that big. Okay, I'll show a few results. Now, the results here are in terms of machine learning that we ran. So I know it's not the focus of the conference, so I'm going to do it really quick. I'm just going to give some insights about what we try to do in the research effort. So we try to understand, define, and analyze the engagement level of communities and also the success level of communities. How did we do it? We took the data from the experiment, which I showed earlier, and we built various prediction models to predict the engagement level, and also the success level of online communities. Afterwards, after we build the prediction models, we evaluated them and use explainability tools to understand the factors behind the success. So for example, if a community success really well, we try to understand what's the reasons that they had such a success. This is the methodology. Here I'm showing a few results. This is the engagement level. So here in these results, I'm presenting how good we are able to predict whether a community is going to participate in the experiment or not. And you can see here the results. I'm going to skip a few slides because I think it's not the most interesting part. Here you can see also results in terms of success level. Okay, so we try to predict the success level per community, whether the success was high or low. And I do want to talk in the last 5 minutes that I have, I do want to leave a few minutes for questions about the 2022 experiment. So between 2017 and 2022, a lot of developers and Redditors asked Reddit to redo the experiment, and they did so. And this was a much larger experiment. More than 10 million users participated. They had 160 millions tile allocations. I recall on the first experiment, there was 1.2 million pixels. Here it was much bigger. It was announced a few days in advance. So the experiment was known to the users, and this is very important because in the first experiment, no one knew about it. No one knew what to expect. Here, it was announced a few days before, and people could tell their friends, come and there is an experiment and we must place our flag on the canvas and so on. And there were two expansions of the canvas. You will see it in a second. And there were a larger set of colors compared to the first experiment. So here there were, I don't know, maybe 32 colors compared to 16 in the first one. And it lasted for 3.5 days. This is the first hours of the experiment. Again, wars and countries. So you can see Ukraine, which was very popular on the first hours of the experiment. You can see Osho, again, back from the 2017 experiment. And I do want to show you, again, a fast forward of the experiment itself. I'm not going to show the whole experiment because it's a bit long, but you can see, again, flags, again, the black void in the middle. Let's skip a bit to the first expansion of the canvas. You can see an extra place for other communities and existing communities. And a day later, there is another expansion of the canvas which goes behind, and many more colors and pictures and so on. And once again, this experiment, the data of this experiment was released, meaning that we had the annotations of the tiles according to time, color, and location. And in addition, we also had the information from the atlas. So as I showed earlier, the atlas of 2022 is here, and you can see a mapping of all artworks. And in the mapping, we can understand which community played in which place, meaning that we can, again, map per each community their success level, whether they survive or not, how popular was the area that they acted in, and so on. And that's the second effort that we did. This is, again, the final canvas at the end. So we use the atlas, as I said. We calculated the same measures as 2017, complexity, popularity of the area, number of pixels, and so on. This time it was much complex to calculate because there were so many pictures and so many overlapping pictures. So it took us over a year only to come up with the final, CSV of community and all the measures. We do take into account the expansions of the canvas, meaning that a specific area is not, people cannot access this specific area if it was in the second expansion. So we took this fact into account while calculating, for example, the popularity of the area. So we also take into account how long the pixel was open for the users to place. No information about users at all in this time. And overall, there were approximately 2,500 communities actively participated in the experiment. Again, back to 2017, there were approximately half of the communities that participated. Yeah, maybe I'll have one minute, so I'll show how it looks like, the data sets. So here you can see, this is how the data set looks like. Okay, so we have the community name, the size of the community in terms of number of participants, and whether they participated in the experiment, this 2017, whether they participated or not. A second data set that we release is the success level, meaning each row is a community. We have the total number of pixels, the total diameter, which is also a measure that we calculated, the entropy, the demand in the area that they participated in, and also whether they survived or not. And in 2022, we have the same format as 2017. Again, each row is a community. We have the number, the area that they had at the final canvas, how many users they have, the entropy, and so on. And this is where we release this data for, researchers and other people to take a look at and use for research or any other thing that you think it's relevant. I'll stop here if you have questions. If not, I'll jump to the summary. Are there any or? Okay, so I'll continue to the summary. So I research online communities. The Our Place experiment is, we call it a natural experiment to research and to build predictive models by using the data. So the whole point is the data that was released by Reddit and afterwards by Reddit users, which is the Atlas, allowed us to do a real deep research about the behaviors of communities in an online engagement experiment. I presented the RPlace data and the models that we built. The 2022 experiment, we didn't model at all. We only built the dataset itself, and it has been pre-processed but yet to be explored. So we will release it, and for those who wish to try to use it, maybe predict the success level, maybe see if there is any correlation between 2017 and 2022 experiment. These are all future work that we plan to do. You can see it here. One last thing is that this year, actually a few months ago, so there was another RPlace experiment that took part again in Reddit. It lasted for 6 days, and there were approximately 8.5 million users participating. Actually, it happened after, you know, a lot of Redditors were not happy, let's put it this way, with what is going on in Reddit, because the Reddit owners decided not to allow third-party apps to access the website, and there was a big war against the Reddit holders. So Reddit decided, okay, our place was an amazing experiment. Let's do it again, and that's what happened. I haven't looked yet at what has been in 2023, but again, comparing to 2022 experiment, it was less attractive. There were less pixels placed, and it lasted for longer. And there was a big criticism about why did they do this experiment specifically after what happened on Reddit. But it's still very interesting to take a look and compare it to 2022 and 2017. That's it. I'm also sharing the GitHub of my lab. You can contact me with any question. I'll be happy to answer your question afterwards or now, whatever. And thank you very much for listening. And I'll take the one question that was here. So can you share one of the favorite facts that you discovered in your research? So yeah, I'll share one of them, which I think is quite surprising. So one of the things that we saw is that we tested whether moderated communities success more in the experiment. And we were sure that, plural communities that people can say whatever they want and they are open to anything would have a much success level. But we found out the opposite. We found that communities that are quite restricted with quite tough moderation are more likely to success. And we can excuse that by, if you're telling your people what to do exactly, where and when, it's much easier for the community to act in such a um, you know, really stressful situation where you have to fight for your place in the canvas. We also found out, of course, that engaged communities with when they respond to others, so people know each other by name, for example, give us a higher probability to success in the experiment.